very, very special guests. Polaris Industries is participating in X-Culture for the first time. It is also the biggest company in this round of competition. As you know, we usually try to have different industries represented and different sized companies, and so Polaris this time is the largest one. And we have two special guests from Polaris. We have Mr. Pankaj Dubey, who is the managing director of Polaris Industries subsidiary in India, which is responsible for, I understand, all of Asia. And assisting him is Mrs. Runa Awat, who is the managing director for the subsidiary. And so we're going to start with a presentation about the company, and Mr. Dubey, whenever you're ready. So as discussed, just a few words about your company, your products, maybe some other interesting information you should mention. And as said, we have a lot of questions. So once the initial introduction is over, we will get into the questions and answer mode. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so good morning and welcome to this video conference. As Mr. Vessels introduced me, I am Pankaj Dubey and I head the Indian operation of Polaris Industries. So we are responsible for some of the, not only Indian territory, but also about some of the neighboring countries and some of the countries like Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Kazakhstan. So this company is $4.5 billion, the world's leader in off-road vehicles. We also have, we invented the snowmobiles. So this company started in 1954, and the first product that was launched was snowmobiles, and this was the first company in the world to give this product to everyone. And then we went into the business of alternate vehicles, and side-by-side business, which is called laser and cylinder products. We also got into the motorcycle business with a product called Victory Motorcycles, which is very popular in North America. And in 2011, we started our, we acquired a few companies, including Indian Motorcycle, which is the Indian motorcycle having the chief range of products and which were very popular, the Scout range of products. We also bought over the electric company called Global Electric Motors from Chrysler. So there's a group of companies where we invested and we bought over, and this product is all about Polaris India operations, which started in 2011. We have introduced the off-road vehicles, the ATVs, all-terrain vehicles, and in 4.5 years of time, it has been penetrated across the country. It's been used by in Army department, and there are a lot of experience zones where we have we give the rights to the individuals. Number of individual customers who have bought, and about 2 years back we introduced the Indian motorcycle in India. Now we are on course where we are doing well in India and we are growing. We have done a number of other initiatives, but having established this company in India where at least the awareness level and the product is available across the country, we now feel is the time to penetrate into some of the neighboring countries that we have mentioned as part of this project. The challenge of establishing Polaris in India has been because the industry of off-road has been at a very nascent stage in India, and most of the markets that is also assigned to us are markets where you hardly have industry of off-road vehicles. So we have to start from ground up. But with the experience that we have established the products in India, we know what to do and how to get into those markets. We have had some series of interactions with some of these international partners, and we have been making this start from ground up. But with the markets like Nepal and Kazakhstan, we are already in talks with parties in Sri Lanka and in Turkmenistan. But from this year onwards, we really want to make it big into the other markets which we are responsible for. So this is a brief interaction, and as we progress, if you have any questions, I can answer those.
Wonderful. So if you allow me to start with a few questions here. For example, Nicholas Dunkel asks you to describe the typical customer of Polaris Industries. So who is your typical customer, age, I don't know, socioeconomic status, who are the people who buy your products?
So the customer profile is very varied because of the product range is also very large. So we have products which is in all-terrain vehicles, which starts from as a small engine as 50 cc and goes up to 1000 cc. So the products are used primarily for the utility purposes, recreational purposes, the defense forces, and also by the youth, the children who are in the age group of 6 to 12 or 6 to 18. Now, so that's why, if you have to find the customer, it will vary from product to product. But I'll tell you that the utility products, the customers are largely into agriculture or into adventure, living in the hills or on the seashore, on the beaches, or near some desert where they don't have all other solutions which are available like a car or a motorcycle. Then they use the all-terrain vehicle. So a typical customer who is adventure-based would be, again, anywhere from 18 years to maybe 80 years. So it depends on individuals' choices. So the ATV business is like very, very varied, and it's a large customer base, but the focus customer would be around 18 years to 45 years, mostly male, but we also have a lot of female customers. Other than this, on the motorcycle side, again, the customer is the customer is slightly on a higher age group. So say 35 years to 55 years is the core group. In both these products, the customer high network individuals, actually in the Indian subcontinent where we are marketing, or the markets where we are planning to enter, because all those markets are where the product would be placed similar to a luxury product, more than the utility product, because there'll be most of the markets involve a very high duty. Yeah, so you're planning to have some question, Vas?
Yes. There are many questions. There is one that seems to be relevant here. Gia Dawn asks about the relative popularity of different products in India. So which ones are the most popular, and are there any products that, for example, are popular in the United States but may have not found popularity in India?
Yeah, so in India, typically there are two products in the all-terrain vehicles which are very popular. So one is a ATV, which is the quad bike with a handlebar, called Sportsman 570 Touring. So this is one product which is internationally also very popular, and India also it's popular. And then the second category of products is called Razor, which is mostly used in racing communities. That is a very large customer base in North America, but it's not so in India, but it is gaining popularity now. And the third Razor product, which are more utility products, are again very large in North America, but it is at a very nascent stage in India, so it's gaining ground. So this is broadly the status on the product.
All right. Another question, how do you currently market your products? What is your marketing budget, perhaps? What do you rely on when you try to promote your product?
Most of the time, the marketing is around the experiential rides that we organize, and also the digital advertising or the social media usage. So these are the two major tools. And then the distribution penetration that we have across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the three major tools that we use, and typically the marketing budgets are around 4 to 5% of the total turnover.
Okay, that's substantial. We have lots of people right here in the webinar room, and even though I have many of my own questions, you guys joining live now, would you like to ask any questions, any of you? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask if you would like now. Anyone?
What is Polaris market share?
All right, so we have a question from Indrek, if I read that correctly. What is the Polaris market share?
Yeah, Polaris is a world leader in off-road vehicles. So we have a market share which is in excess of 35% in North America and globally. In India, we are having a market share of almost 90 to 95% in the organized sector because we are the only player who are marketing these products. Another company, the competitor, have just entered.
Wow, that's a basically monopoly. So that's very impressive. One very important question that has been asked by many people: when you sell your products, your dealerships, are they owned by the company, by Polaris Industries, or are they independently owned by franchisees?
Now, once we sell the product, it's actually we take the money, then the product is the dealers or the distributor's product, and then he markets the product subsequently. So we take advance money, and then we ship the products to the individual. So therefore, technically, the moment it lands there, it becomes the property of the distributor or the dealer.
So if you were expanding into a different country and were establishing dealerships there, would you have a preference as to the ownership structure of that dealership? Would that have to be the property of the company, or would you rather work with the local owner of the dealership and just give them that kind of franchisee rights or some other form of collaboration? Do you have any preference in that area?
It would be the second one, which is that we appoint the franchisee. He creates everything over there. We supply the products, the marketing tools we provide. We guide him. We provide him all the support in terms of the brand awareness, how and the experience that we have. But typically, the distributor or the dealer in the country will have to create his own investments in creating the market and educate the customers the way that we have done in India.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Obviously, less risk for you, but also the local owners will probably know the market a little bit better. Again, I see we have about a dozen people here in the virtual room. If you would like to ask questions, just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question. It seems like Sim wants to ask a question. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was interested about the quality of the products you have. What about the after sales and the terms of guarantee? How much do you use, or how much complaints do you receive? What about the product itself? Are those products reliable? Do you need how much product development at the moment? What is the parts of the after sales in organization at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
So, because these are automobile products, and it's not just about selling. It's very important that you get a good after-sales service as well. So our products give warranty of about 6 months on each product that goes to the customer from the date that it is shipped to the customer. These products are highly reliable because it's used by even the US forces. So the defense forces of about 23 countries are using these products across the world. And it's of the highest quality level, and that's the reason that we are world's #1 in this category.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead.
If I want to become your partner, say tomorrow, and would have a legal body with Indrek, who is participating in the same meeting here, then what should we do with you? About what should I agree with you?
Basically, what are the steps to become a dealership or dealer, right?
Basically, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we typically look at is that the typical dealer should have the automobile background. So they should know the process of how to deal with customers in automobiles, because you only raised a very pertinent question that if the customer buys the product, then what is the after sales? So therefore, that mindset of the dealer should be there, where he should know that he's not just selling, he has to take care of the customer even after selling. So automobile background is something that we look at very clearly, that he should be there. Number two, he should be a passionate adventure lover himself. Typically, he would have got exposed to our products in some part of the world, so that will help, because if he himself is an off-roader or he has done some ATVs, he will understand and do passion more, because as we have created the market in India, like doing more experiential ride and doing digital advertising, it's not possible unless and until I myself ride and my team ride, and then we take the products to the customer. So if I become a dealer and sitting in the showroom and I don't have time for experiential ride, he's not my dealer. So typically, automobile dealer, passion for off-roading, and then energetic, and looking for developing the business and doing a lot of hard work, and it's basically enjoying and earning together. So we look at a typical partner who is something like this.
For the retail, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the retail.
He should also be financially sound, because we don't give credits. So he must be able to hold the stock and then market the product. And he should have some knowledge about marketing and business development.
How much playroom do you leave for the distributors? Meaning that you got one singular product that you are selling with one price in India, one price in US. Does it have to be the same price in Europe?
No. Typically, the cost and the price in the market depends upon a number of factors, because in North America, the products are all produced in US, and then from US, if it is shipped to, say, Europe or to India, the cost of shipment is different. And then when it lands into the country, there are various taxes which are different. There are various duties, the import duties, which are levied in some part of the world, in some part it is not. So we can't handle that the product price should be the same. We recommend that this should be the price, but then the distributor decides locally that what is the optimum price for the product. So we just give them a good price so that he can make money and create all the out of the business itself.
Mm-hmm. Now, many people also ask about your competition. Who are your main competitors globally, perhaps also in India, and how do you deal with them?
Yeah, so globally we have competition in Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, BRP. So these are the top companies which compete with us internationally, and we are number one across.
Congratulations. Another question many students are asking now via email about your pricing strategy. So you said that you're not offering financing centrally. How about leasing or some sort of other incentives or ways to make it easier for customers to buy your products?
No, we do have, I think there's some misunderstanding. So we do give financing to the retail customer.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So the financing to the retail customers are available. We have tie-up in India with some of the number 1, number 2 banks who do financing on our products. And internationally, we have tie-up with various banks where they do inform and they give attractive financing scheme to the retail customers.
Mm-hmm.
When I was talking about not giving finance, I was talking about not giving credit to the dealer.
Okay.
Dealer is a businessman, and he should have the money to buy the product and hold with himself. But when he sells to the customer, he can have financing through the banks and through any other retail mechanism.
And also, can you elaborate a little bit more? I think I know what those are. I've seen them in the United States, but maybe some of the students don't know. You have those kind of like demonstration parks, like theme parks where customers can come and try your machinery outdoor. How exactly do they work? Are they part of the dealership, or those are completely separate entities? How do they operate?
So typically, if you go globally, in say Europe or in US and in many parts of the world, there are parks where you can go and rent these vehicles. So you don't need to buy them out, but you rent it, and there are companies who will buy these products and then they will rent it out and make lots of money. When we are trying to create the market in India, because we were the first one to enter into this country to product, when we were doing it, we felt that the international concepts may not work in India, so we created a small Polaris experience zone. Unlike the other markets where there are huge areas where you go on the trails and ride this, we created artificial tracks to make it popular in the country. So we started in about 2013 this concept, and today we have about 46 of them spread all across the country. If you go to our website, polarisindy.in, you will get all the details about Polaris experience zones and where all it is located and so on. So that is something which is very useful tool to start in any market where the industry is very low or at a nascent stage. So Polaris Industries, after seeing the success in India, they have started telling everybody that if you go to a market which is there's no industry, follow the Polaris India strategy of Polaris Experience Zone.
Yeah. Now there are also many people asking the same question in terms of your preferred new markets. Are there any markets where that you are especially interested in? And at the same time, are there any markets that you wouldn't consider going into? Like, for example, somebody asks, would you consider expanding into Pakistan, for example? Or are there any countries that you are very, very interested in and any that you are not?
So we have already shared a list with you where we have said that we want to get interested in Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan. We have said about Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and then there are other markets like Pakistan and all, which we are also open to discuss. But it's not the priority market right now for us. We are doing some business with them, but we are still looking at that the bigger markets we tackle first, and then the second phase we can get into the other markets.
I can also imagine that your products are made globally. Probably some components are made in some countries, some components are made in other countries. But still, what do you consider the production, the area of production of your products? Are they made in the United States still, or are they made in India or some other countries?
All the products are made mostly in the United States of America. So the products which are largely used across the world, it is there. Some of the products are made in Asia, but it's all shipped from US.
Any other questions from the people in the conference room here?
I have one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If the car industry is moving into electrical cars and hybrids, then what is the situation with snowmobiles and ATVs? Thank you.
That's a good question.
That's a great question. Polaris has expertise in all the three sources, which is the gas, diesel, and electric version as well. So we have off-road vehicle which can be fired up with all the three choices.
Thank you.
But still, internationally, the ones which are very popular, and as in cars, the #1 selling cars are in the gas, then the diesel, and then the electric. It's becoming popular, but it's not large in numbers.
All right. Any other questions from the audience before I go back to my list? Now, here's a difficult question. It comes up all the time. If you had to compare yourself to the competition, what would you say are the strong sides of Polaris, and maybe what are the weak sides compared to your competition?
Yeah. That's always a difficult question to answer. The first part is very easy, The second part is the tough.
Right.
So, as far as the first part is concerned, Polaris is a very innovative company. So we keep on bringing products which are on improvement year on year. So every year you'll find a lot of new products coming from Polaris. Typically, almost like a 70 to 75% of the business that we do are the products which has been introduced in the last 3 years. So that would show that how much innovation the company is doing. So we keep on creating products and upgrading the products from time and again, and that constitutes the major chunk of the business. By the time that the competition tries to follow us, we are already many steps ahead. That's the number one strong point for us. Number two strong point is that the products are very high on engineering and the user-friendly mode. So if the customer is typically whatever expectations that they have, we do a lot of research on how to make him more comfortable, how to improve upon whatever areas that he suggests that this is I'm not liking this. So every time we upgrade the product, and the engineering is done in such a way that these are products which you have to take in jungles, in desert. And if you go there and if you have a problem and you get stuck, you will be really in a bad shape.
Right.
So therefore, the quality of the product is the biggest strength. I'll give you a small example. One of the army person I was talking to, and he said that he took our snowmobiles to an area and he fell some 15 feet down, and he thought that the snowmobile has gone, but he could get up and he could come out, and he thought that now we have to junk this snow scooter, but he thought that let me try if it starts, and he clicked and it started immediately and started functioning even after falling 10-11 feet from the top. So the confidence of the customers that we have over the years that have been built up is the strength. Coming back to the tougher part of it, the weakness, this company has been very North America centric. So though we have started in 1954, we are talking in 2016, we do not have the representations across the world. It took, in 2011, we started the Indian operation. So the globalization has taken a lot of time, and that is why we are taking time still to establish this company, whereas it should have been done long back. So I would say that is the area for improvement for us, and it has a lot of initiative on that front has already been taken, and one of the steps that we are taking is talking to you guys to help us expedite that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. There is a very interesting question here from Godfred Yogi. He's asking whether your company is listed publicly, and if so, can he buy some shares?
Yeah, our company is listed in New York Stock Exchange, and you can, of course, go to the stock exchange and buy shares. It's doing very well, and people have invested a lot of money into our company and gained a lot of profits here.
Another question several people asked, and I honestly don't know the answer. So here in the United States, your products are primarily used for fun. So people use them for recreation, for just play. But it sounds like in some Asian countries they're actually used for work, right? So you say that you're working with the military. So I assume that's not for fun. That's actually for work. Are there any customers that may use your ATVs or snowmobiles for actual commuting rather than just having fun?
Not so much for commuting, but commuting would be required in like areas which are like totally snow-clad. So during the times in say where our headquarters is in Minnesota, when the roads are all full with snow, those are the times when probably these vehicles are used for commuting.
Yeah.
The other major use but it's not regularly used for commuting. It's mostly recreational, and also agriculture is a big part of usage of these vehicles. So the areas where you have very low people and large size of the land, and the manpower cost is very high. So a lot of people use these vehicles to move around in the agricultural areas and spray pesticides and do a number of agricultural operations through our vehicles.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any questions from the audience before I go down my list? People here in the room? Okay. Yeah, Arman wants to ask a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to asking about how about your after-sales service for your customer that you have already done?
Mm-hmm. After-sale service, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you.
So I think I already answered this question before, but I'll repeat it for you. After-sales support is very, very important, and to make this customer feel that he's having a world-class product. It's not only the one-time product, but the usage of this product under extreme duress conditions also the product should perform. And in order to do so, there are the product is made in such a way that it can really last the toughest of the torture that the products can bear, but still you need to do some maintenance of the vehicle. So if you take any normal vehicle and compare it with Polaris, the maintenance itself is very low. But then the after-sales support is very simple. You go to the YouTube only, and you will find number of operations that needs to be done by any one of us. Can learn from there and start implementing that and doing the servicing ourselves. But we train all our dealers and dealers staff. We regularly conduct training, even for the customers. If anybody wants to learn, we keep on doing training at our Indian warehouse, where people come. We train them, okay, how to do the basic maintenance, how to do the service. We train all the dealer and dealer staff, and so this is an ongoing process. So we train our people in such a way that they can do the service very nicely. All our products are very, very advanced products. So if you have it has a digital wrench, which is like a typical wire, which you can attach to your laptop, and the one part attaches to the vehicle. So your laptop will have all the listed issues that the vehicle has. So if you have to, you don't need to get a hardcore mechanic to replace basic things. So if there are small things that can be done by you only if you buy that digital wrench. So your vehicle will throw away, okay, do this job, and then you go to the YouTube and learn how it is to be done. You can do that, or you can go to the authorized dealer, and dealer will help you do that. So servicing is very, very important area, and we really want that that everybody associated with us, especially the dealers, should focus a lot. So even before selling the product to any dealer, we insist that he comes to us and does some training with us. So like by discussing about Turkmenistan, today only I received a mail from one of the prospective dealer who said that I would come to India, and we said, okay, you come to India, but you get your technical team first to get trained how the product is used, and then we'll discuss about the business.
So,
go ahead.
Hello. So how do you cover or how do you approach your customer? Because in India is a very large country. So how do you cover your customer? For example, they need the maintenance.
You mean like a warranty or?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe we talked about that, but maybe, I don't know if Mr. Duby, if you would like to add another word or two.
So we have typically 15 dealers spread across the country. So you know,
I need to ask one question, please.
Just a second. Let's finish this one.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So so in India, like we have 15 dealers spread all across the country. So you go to the eastern part, western part, northern part, central part, we have dealers. So if customer has any problem, he gives a call to the dealer, and then, depending upon the location, if it is in the same city where the dealer is there, it's very easy, you'll go and get the service done. Otherwise, if it is a different location, my dealer's technical staff will travel to that city and sort out the issue.
Mm-hmm. All right. Giorgio, you wanted to ask a question? Please go ahead. You're muted. Can you unmute your microphone? Giorgio? For some reason, there is no sound from Giorgio. You need to unmute your microphone. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. How important do you consider a human resource?
That's a very good question, yeah. There are actually a few other questions about human resources, like, for example, what does it take to get a job at your company? What kind of talents are you normally looking for? There are even a few questions whether or not people from outside India can apply for jobs at your office. Would they even be considered?
So the human resource is the most important asset for our organization, and even more than the product, because we think that if we get a right kind of people inside the organization, that would trigger more growth for us, and that would trigger, and that will be able to get some good products for the customer understanding. As far as the overall hiring people at our end. So we have our own typical requirements that keep on coming from time to time. So it depends. If we have a vacancy and somebody applies to us, surely there can be an opportunity.
All right. There are a number of people, I hope it's not inappropriate, there are a number of people asking about your personal story. Like, for example, what kind of education did you have to get to become a manager of a major subsidiary? Anything else that you would like to talk about, your personal experience and your personal journey to the position that you are in now? And again, if you don't want to answer that, it's fine, but I was hoping you can say a few words about you as a person rather than the company in general.
So as I'm a business graduate. I am a economics graduate, and then I did my master's in business administration from India. And I'm not a technical person, so that might be a surprise to many of you. But I'm a business development person. What I feel is that I love challenges. So if anybody says that this is a job and it's not possible, I get intrigued and I start looking at it how it can be done. So that's typically my nature. I always look at opportunities. I'm a positive person, so whatever is thrown to me, I always keep on looking out of the box. Okay, if this is not being done this way, what are the alternatives we can be able to achieve these goals? So education background is basically business and economics, and I have a small family. I have 2 daughters. My wife is an HR person, and therefore most of the HR issue I solve it at home only. I get a typical advice at home.
A few students also ask about work-life balance. I mean, being in charge of a major company, does that leave much time for your family?
Yeah, it takes a lot of time of yours, but at the same time, where there is a will, there is a way. So I have lots of hobbies, including singing and all. So I pursue that very strongly, and recreation and fun is anyway part of the job itself, because we get to ride a lot of our bikes and ATVs. So that adds to the fun and also brings the work and life balance. I really want that the person should be present where he is. So if you are typically at home, then you should pay attention to your family, and you should be looking at whatever expectations of your family is. And when you are at job, you should be 100% devoted to the job. So I actually move out people. If the person is sitting in the office after the office hours, I question him and I want to push him out of the office. So that's how I don't want to do that, and I also don't want my people to work and show that they're working late. So they can go back home and spend time with the family, so that next day when they come, they are full of energy.
Yeah, we need more of that here. So there is a very interesting question from Tony Goulart. He's asking the effect the American origin of the products has on marketing. Is that a positive thing that the products are American, or potentially are a negative thing?
It's a positive thing, because American product is seen as the highest quality levels, and there is a liking to American products in India.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions from the audience? All right. Oh, Ashley, are you trying to ask a question? There is no sound. Please go ahead. For some reason, we cannot hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. So if Polaris was to kind of partner or have like a joint venture with an existing company that has a large market share in the market, what kind of profit or loss sharing would Polaris be interested in?
Come again, what kind of?
What kind of partners are you looking for, and do you have any alliances or partnerships at this time, and if so, who are those companies? Yeah,
and what kind of like profit sharing would you get engaged in?
Mm-hmm. And what kind of profit sharing would you offer or prefer?
So in India, we have a joint venture already. Actually, it's a very good question. I did not cover that point in my presentation, but we have a joint venture with a leading company in India called iShare. They are into truck business, and we join hands with them to create a new product, which is an on-road sort of a small utility car, but it has the off-roading capability. And this partnership is 50-50. So like a 50% ours and 50% is iShare. So typically if we are looking at a large company, we want to partner with them on a 50-50 if the objectives are common for both companies. Otherwise, we have in the past acquired number of companies like Indian Motorcycle, Global Electric Cars, GEM. I would say that broadly we are into two areas. One, we acquire, and the second is where we feel there is mutually beneficial relationship. We get into a 50-50 partnership. I hope I answered, Ashley, your question.
Mm-hmm. All right. There are also a few questions from students who are outside your immediate region who are asking whether or not, one, you would be interested in expanding into those regions, and two, would you be allowed to? For example, there is a question from Godfred about Africa, a question from Jun Lian about China. Would you be able to go that far, and would you be interested in expanding in those markets?
So as part of this project, I won't be focusing on. But if there are anything that comes up, we have a team in China, as well as the current international distribution is that the Africa is handled from Europe. So if any of your suggestion comes, we will throw that to the team which are based out of these locations. But as far as this project is concerned, I would prefer going with the countries that we have shared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just 1 minute, I'll have to take a small break.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And while Mr. Dubey is taking a break, again, guys, those of you here in the room, Arman, Ashley, Gaurav, and so on, and Giorgio, if you have any questions, be ready. Now may be a good time to give you a word. Any one of you wants to ask a question? Raise your hand. I can see you, I guess. All right, because I have lots of questions here coming through email. And I just would like to make sure that since you are right here live, we give you a priority, because the number of questions coming by email will not be able to go through all of them anyway. Any of you will be asking a question? All right, well, you guys are thinking, so let me go to my list here. There are several students, like, for example, Tony Goulart, and then there is also Jun Liang, who are asking about sustainability and environmentally important practices. Is your company marketing yourself as an environmentally conscious company? Is sustainability on your radar, or it's not the main concern?
No, it is. I mean, we follow all the rules that are made in the world. We have interest in environment safety, and therefore we have invested heavily into electric vehicles. We not only have invested into electric vehicles in the ATVs, but we also have invested into electric vehicles in motorcycles. So we do have, wherever we are based out of, we really want to support and contribute to the environment.
Mm-hmm. Guys, any questions here from the audience? Giorgio appears to be asking something, but we cannot hear you. You need to unmute your microphone. All right, so let me go ahead with my questions. What are the typical legal challenges when you expand into a new market? I assume there would be some sort of like an import tariff, but are there any other restrictions that you have to deal with when you have a partnership with a foreign company or a dealership?
So number one is that, being an American company, we are very, very concerned about getting into the trap of FCPA, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. So we take a lot of interest and precautions so that we don't land in any trouble over there. So our contract is very, very standard, but it covers a lot of points, including such rules where it is sacrosanct in the United States of America. So we typically send that, and before finalizing any party, we do our own third-party due diligence, where we check the background of the dealer and distributor of whether in the past there have been any cases or any legal battles that he has been involved with. So we share and we deal with parties only who are clean in the past and who have a clear intention of doing business and are capable people. But legally, we would take full precautions that we don't get into any untoward situations.
And your dealerships, there are a couple of students asking that, so your dealers, do they normally sell only your products, only Polaris Industries products, or are those usually some sort of like car dealerships that also sell Polaris Industries products?
Very good question. So as far as the developed markets are concerned, like North America, Australia, or Europe and all, where there are dealers who are doing multiple products as well. But typically in India, we are only marketing and providing products to dealers who are dealing only with us. And fortunately, there are no competition in India as of now, so we can sustain that. But even if then all the competitors walk in, we'll prefer that we have exclusive dealers in India where they don't deal with the competition products.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, yes. There are also a few students asking about adaptation of your products for the local markets. So are you normally selling them in exactly the same design all around the world, or are there any adaptations that products undergo before being sold, for example, in India, or if you had to go, let's say, to Tajikistan, would there be a possibility to make some changes to meet the tastes and preferences of the local customers? Like, for example, one student asks, perhaps maybe remove some of the features to make the product a little cheaper. Would that be an option at all?
So typically, we have a lot of options already built in. That is why we have a large number of products. So we have some with fully loaded versions, some less loaded versions, somewhere in between where we have something or we don't have something based on the customer base. But we don't modify the vehicle per se for any market unless and until it's a huge numbers, because it involves a lot of cost to modify the product. But so far, like in India, whatever marketing that we are doing of the products are the standard products, where we have used mostly the European versions of the product because those meet most of the norms that we have in India. So, like North America, the norms, the pollution norms, and number of restrictions which are there is different from what it is Europe. And so depending upon the market that we are into, and we adapt and take the products, select the products from the range that we already have. But like Ashley asked about the joint venture, so we have a joint venture product where we have developed a product from ground up, a new product completely. So it's typically based on the requirements of India, a product which is, we went and did the market research to ask that, okay, what typically would you expect out of this product? And we got some very crazy ideas because in many parts of the country, there is a power shortage, there's an electricity shortage. And so we found that they're using some generators, and we have built in this vehicle a combination of a car, a pickup van, and a generator all combined. So we do typical innovations like these, which is where we see a good scope and a big scope. We will do that, but largely on the range of products utility, we have enough products as such, and so you can choose from there, and most of the time you will be meeting whatever you require in your country, right from a smaller price range to a higher price range.
Here's a very interesting question from Ashwar Bimraj. He's asking about the role of the government in your operations. Are there any governmental programs that perhaps will help you expand internationally, maybe some sort of special financing or something? Or is the government more of a problem in your business?
Our government is doing their own job based on what they feel is best for the country. I won't say that they are a problem for us, but yes, each company have they have to typically think that the government should adapt based on our requirement and the business increase of ours. But in our case in India, we feel that we are somewhere in between because this industry is developing, and therefore the rules and regulations that we have in India today is you know is basically not very conducive for products like ours. But I mean, we are discussing with them, and hopefully things would change over a period of time. But the government plays a very high role in the success of our companies like ours, because if you put a very high import duty on a product, it becomes, the markets become much smaller. If you say that, yeah, in my country I want to promote this product and therefore I want to have a 0% duty, so then that market grows much faster. So it does play a big role, and government has anyway to do a lot on the taxes and everything to make the product more,
Right.
I mean, marketed more for the customers.
Yeah, makes sense. I see new people are joining in the room. Jimmy, I see you just joined in. Did you want to ask a question, or you're just listening? If you would like to ask a question, you have to unmute yourself because we cannot hear you.
No, to me it's okay. I just want to know. I didn't come earlier because I had a course. But did you already spoke about the fact that the people who want to import the product or the retailer would like to have a discount, and which kind of discount we can give and how much it can be?
Okay.
So typically we have a very attractive pricing for international dealers and distributors, so which is pretty much standard, and so far we haven't had any big programs for international markets for us because we've just started. But as we move forward, we can prepare some volume-based incentives and a discount structure. But right now we are looking at a very nice aggressive price to penetrate the market rather than offering a higher price and then giving discounts.
There are also a number of questions about your financials, and you already talked about the sales volume in general. But first, Indian market compared to the rest of the world. How big is it? How big is your subsidiary? As I understand, there are two main subsidiaries, one for Europe, one for India, or for Asia in general. So how big is your subsidiary compared to the rest of the world? And second, and again, I apologize if it's an inappropriate question. If you would like, you can skip it. But what are your typical profit margins?
So as far as the international subsidiaries are concerned, I would like to share with you that out of North America, the biggest subsidiary is Europe. Right. And after Europe is Australia subsidiary in Asia Pacific. And then we have three major subsidiaries, one in Brazil, one in China, and one in India. So that's the total construct of the subsidiary. The Indian contribution globally is very, very small at the moment because it's at a very nascent stage, so it's not the biggest of the subsidiary. But with the kind of opportunities that we have opened up with the joint venture where we have a structured plant in India and the other businesses that we have launched, it is potentially very big, going to be a very big subsidiary for Polaris.
My understanding is that yours is also the youngest subsidiary and also the one where there is least competition, right? So you have the greatest opportunity for growth because the United States, Australia, those are saturated now. I don't think they can grow much more, right? Is that correct?
Absolutely, you're right. And that's the reason where the company felt that we should start in India and catch the growth opportunities of this country.
Right. There are also a number of questions that I deliberately waited until the end. So students are asking for your advice on how to start their own business or on career advice in general. So it wouldn't be related to X-Culture, but again, if you were to, give an advice to students who are just starting their careers, those who either would like to open up their own business or perhaps would like to rise in the corporate hierarchy just like you did to the top, what would be your advice? What should they focus on during their education and then early career years?
So this will typically involve a class of about 60 minutes. and I'll try to put it in a short, summarized way. I do visit a lot of colleges to advise on the same topic, and what I feel is the youth of today. First of all, you are very capable guys. The number one knowledge that is required is that each one of us were in the same position as you are today. So some decades back, I was in the same position, and I was also inquisitive like you. What made me grow to this level and achieve, and the other people who have done very good, I try to analyze, and I found that typically, every individual has huge capabilities. And first of all, you have to respect yourself and respect you as an individual, that I'm a great person. And then you build on that your future, whether you want to do a business or you want to become a successful, a successful individual in a job position. So both is possible. And what is required to be accepted first is that you should have a big dream. I feel that whatever you dream is achievable. So, and therefore you should not think small. You should think big. And you think big things, and then if you think big, you have heard this message, where it said that watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your, the action, and then ultimately the destiny and character. So what is most important is to watch your thoughts. What are you thinking? If you think that, oh, I won't be able to do it, it's very difficult for me, and as opposed to that, you think, oh, I will make it big irrespective of what happens. So what is your thought, and what words are you speaking out? So if what you're speaking out is like very weak or doubt on yourself, first of all, change your thought. The moment you change your thought, your words will become very strong. And the moment your words will become very strong, you will back it up to prove it with action. And if you prove it with action, that is where your character will become, and you would be able to be successful. And whatever you dream, you would be able to achieve if you apply all your energies behind it. What I feel is that every one of us is a bundle of energy, and we don't use the full energy of ours. And that is why we are, some of the people are very successful and others are not. You all are enlightened people, each one of you, and if you think that you are able, you would achieve miracles in life. Whatever you think, whatever your thoughts, put it on record, write it down that one day I will achieve this big thing. And I tell you that if you write it down and you start working hard on it, everything that you write will become a reality.
Well, very positive message. I totally support it. We have a number of other questions, and I do see your questions here in email, guys. What we will do, since we run out of time, what we will do is I will summarize your questions, and I will email them to Mr. Dubey, and then hopefully he will answer them in writing, and we will add them to our frequently asked questions database. So this way you will be able to see the answers. Likewise, as discussed, we will have another webinar a little later next month with Polaris Industries. So as you will start working on the challenge, as you will have more specific questions, you will have another opportunity later on in the semester to ask them. At this point, I think we have to stop. As I said, we've run out of time. Thank you so much, Mr. Dubey. Thank you so much, Runu, if you're still there. And thank you so much, everyone, who joined us live and asked your questions. So we will be in touch by email in the next coming days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to stop the broadcast
Thank you.
now, and we will post the report on the website a little later. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.